start with the story. There were two farmers, same land, same season, same amount of rain. The first farmer worked from sunup to sundown. He was out in the field every single day. He was exhausted by noon and he would work all the way to dusk. And at the end of the harvest, the neighbors were impressed. They'd never seen anyone work so hard. Then there was the second farmer who worked fewer hours. But every morning before he touched a single tool, he walked his land. He studied the soil, he watched where the water drained and where it pooled. He planted based on what he actually saw, not just what he assumed. And at the end of the season, the first farmer had a field full of effort. That second farmer, however, he had a harvest. I think about that story a lot in my line of work because I see both kinds of farmers in the health and fitness world all the time. And that's what I want to talk about today. Peace, love, light, healing. I'm the Nariah, the founder of Iron City Biomechanics. And at Iron City Biomechanics, we believe there's a gap between healthcare and fitness. And most people fall right into it. You leave your doctor's office cleared to exercise, so you walk right into a gym. But nobody has really seen how you move during that time frame. And that gap is exactly where we work. And today I want to talk about something that sits right at the heart of it. The difference between fitness, function, and resilience. Because these three things are not the same. And confusing them is one of the most common reasons people work consistently and still feel stuck. Most of what we call fitness is really just performance, in my opinion. How hard did you work? How much you sweated? How many calories you burned? How sore you were the next day? Were you able to even get up out of bed? And look, effort matters. I'm not dismissing that effort. But those things don't tell you how well your body actually moves. And movement quality is everything. Here's what I see all the time with the men and women that I work with. Many of them have been consistent for years. They show up, they work hard. They're still frustrated, however, because they're dealing with tight hips, aching back, knees that complain when they go upstairs. And that's not failure on their parts or lack of effort. That's just a mismatch between what the training was designed to do and what the body actually needed. Like our first farmer who was full of effort, but he was not studying the land. So let's talk about what matters more than fitness alone. And from my perspective, the first one is function. Function is about how your body performs in real life, not just in the gym, not on a good day when everything feels right. So I'll share this story. I had a client, and for the sake of the video, I'll call her Sandra. She had been going to group fitness classes 3 times a week for years. By any standard definition, she was considered active. She was showing up, she was working out. But when she came to see me, she told me she dreaded walking her dog on anything other than just flat pavement. And so she avoided trail walks with her friends. And just getting up from her living room floor, if she ever got down at all, it was just a whole ordeal for her. And so, looking at her, she wasn't unfit, but she was unfunctional. Because function is about things like carrying your groceries from the car, getting up from a low chair without a production team, or just being able to walk on uneven ground without having to brace yourself, being able to reach over the counters, without being in a fight with your shoulders. Those aren't athletic feats, but they are necessary for us every single day. And so you can be fit by traditional standards and still struggle with all of those because they depend on things that conventional workout often doesn't address. And that's how your joints actually move, what your posture is like, how is your gait. And so function is not flashy, but it is the whole point. The second thing is resilience. If function is about how your body performs, resilience is about how it responds, especially when things don't go perfectly. And so this is where I see people over 50 feel the gap most acutely. They're not asking to run marathons. They just want to be able to do more without paying for it 3 days afterwards. And so resilience means that you stumble on the sidewalk and you're able to just catch yourself. Or you're able to sit in the car for hours and you're not wrecked when you get out. Or you have an active weekend, whether it be a long walk, travel, and doing something that's more demanding that you're not used to, and it doesn't take a whole week to recover. That kind of resilience doesn't come from grinding it out harder. It comes from training that builds the tissues that can actually handle those loads, joints that move well, a nervous system that knows how to stabilize itself. And so when you're not exposed to that all the time, it can be very detrimental. So you need a training program that is like what the second farmer was doing, essentially, not working harder, but smarter based on what you actually need. So what's the difference between a person who is fit and a person who is functional and resilient? I'm glad you asked. So the fit person measures just the progress and how the workout felt. But the functional resilient person measures progress by how their life feels. That the stairs get easier, where they're able to walk through an airport without their back tightening up on them, that they feel more stable when they did go on a walking trail. How was the quality of their sleep? So Sandra, my client I mentioned earlier, she eventually shifted her training. We looked at how she actually moved. We addressed what was limiting her, not just what was easy to load and repeat. And so 6 months later, she texts me a photo from a trail walk with her friends. There was no big message. It was just a photo and a single line. And she said, I didn't think about my knees once. That's a huge win for me. And so that is function. That is resilience. That is the harvest. Now, I want to give you something practical because I'm all about practicality. Because education is a part of what we do at Iron City Biomechanics. We don't just train people, we want to teach them to understand their bodies. And so here are three signs that your current training is building fitness without function. So, number one, you know, let's say you're consistent in the gym, but you're still guarding your movements in daily life. If you're working out regularly, but still bracing when you pick something up, or hesitating on uneven ground, or compensating on one side or the other, that's a signal. The gym and your body aren't talking to each other yet. So, number two, your soreness and your recovery don't improve over time. If you've been training for months and you still feel wrecked for 2 days after every session, that's not adaptation. That's your body absorbing stress without building the capacity. So, real progress should feel like you're getting more durable, not more tired. And then number three, last one. So your training never changes, but your body needs to have those changes. The same class, the same routine, same movements, month after month, repetition without variation. It doesn't really build resilience. And so you want your body to learn new patterns so that you can move more proficiently. So if any of those sound familiar, it doesn't mean you've been doing something wrong. It just means you may be missing the piece in the middle and the part between healthcare and fitness where someone actually looks at how you move and builds a plan around what your body specifically needs. That's a biomechanics informed training. That's what we specialize in. And so really truly changes everything. And so here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Fitness, function, and resilience. They're related, but they are not the same thing. They're like cousins. And if you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and you want to feel capable, independent, and active, training for fitness alone is not enough. contrary to what you've been told. So what you want is a body that moves well, holds up under the demands of real life, and recovers, without falling apart. That's the gap we bridge at Iron City Biomechanics between healthcare, between what healthcare tells you to do and what fitness actually gives you. And when it's working, you won't know it because you're exhausted. You'll know it because you're more capable. You'll see that things, small changes in your life, like, oh, I wasn't able to do that before. And if anything, I said today, it resonated with you. If you recognize yourself in Sandra's story or in those three signs that I mentioned, I want to invite you to take the next step. We offer a movement assessment right here in Vestavia Hills, Alabama. It's not a sales pitch. It's a real conversation about how you move, what's limiting you, and what a smarter path forward actually looks like for your body and for your life. You can find this link in the bio or head over to our website at www.ironcitybiomechanics.com. You've already been putting in the effort. Let's make sure it's building the right thing. As always, peace, love, light, healing, and I'll see you whenever I'm looking at you.